Today we're going to talk about what sold this weekend. So another floating hands video for you guys. Hope you don't mind that. But first we're going to start off with the sealed items that have sold so far over the weekend. Coming in first is a Lycanroc V Battle Deck. I'm selling these for about $10 on my eBay store. I've got a whole case worth of them. So this is an item that's like, after shipping, which is like $5 and some change, I'm netting something like $3 per battle deck, but that's okay because I basically like had these given to me. They were offloaded very inexpensively because, you know, the person I bought them from just bought it as like a, you know, hey, I'm trying to get more favorability with my distributor. Can you take these off my hands for me? And I took the risk. I didn't expect those to ever sell, but they're slowly trickling out. On that same vein, I also have 2 cases of these Venusaur battle decks. I'm selling about 1 a day on average, I would say, of these. Obviously, Venusaur is a little bit more popular than Lycanroc, so these ones sell faster and sell for a little bit more. I'm selling these ones for $15 a piece, and kind of the same situation. Like, bought these both from the same source. They just kind of wanted to get out of them for, you know, as much as they could get, but that was not very much at the time. I think I bought these back in like 2024, and they've just been kind of collecting dust. Finally opened up the cases and have been offloading, and the Venusaur sell pretty well for $15. Again, after shipping and fees, I'm getting something like $6 or $7 net on these, as opposed to the Lycanroc deck, so that's a little bit more favorable, but selling well nonetheless. Moving on to the single cards, we'll start low. We've got this Meowth, first edition Team Rocket card. This sold for just a couple of bucks. It's like listed as LP or whatever. There's a little bit of whitening down there, but no big deal. Just a cool card. I have a ton of Team Rocket, like first edition bulk commons and uncommons. Going on that same note, I have this Cosmos Hollow Bear Tick that sold for $1 and some change, so pretty cheap there, but it's a neat card. This is a, let's see, 2011, so this would be a black and white era hollow. I don't remember what the release of this was, but it's some kind of like promo hollow variant from a set, without having the particular listing in front of me right now. Then coming along with a popular one, so this is from Paldea Evolved. This is the Raichu illustration rare. Sold this card for $65. I've had it for quite a while. Not a gradable copy, unfortunately, but it's a neat card nonetheless, so that one is going to find its new home after this weekend. Now we're getting into some of the slabs, and these will just 2 slabs today, but they're both pretty decent ones. So first and foremost, we have the Stained Glass Birds. This is the SM10 Hidden Fates Elite Trainer Box promo. This card has been like a consistent bread and butter regardless of market cycle standings. It's always pretty liquid. Obviously, we've seen some shifts between the PSA 10 valuation over the course of this boom that we are still thriving in right now. This copy sold for $275. I was in on the raw single for like $74. $45 worth of grading, so we're still coming out on top quite a bit on that one. I think that's my last PSA 10 copy. And then the big guy, so we sold a Yu-Gi-Oh card this weekend. The Yu-Gi-Oh market is starting to see some traction. It's really neat when, like, not every time that Pokemon gets like an influx of demand does all other TCGs, but right now we're seeing Yu-Gi-Oh start to move particularly high-end stuff, which is always cool to see. I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan. However, I have a hard time like tying capital up into Yu-Gi-Oh cards long term because the churn rate is just slower, and you know, there can be a tendency to have like a little bit pickier buyers and stuff like that. PSA grading for Yu-Gi-Oh is still not like super popular yet, or who knows if it will ever be. But down here you can kind of see that it's a Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh card, so that's called OCG. Big fan of the Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is an exclusive card that I've highlighted on the channel before. This is my Halaktai, the creator god of light. This is a limited price card, limited to a 10,000 copy release, which again sounds like a lot of copies. But when you look at something like that's just the PSA 10 population for something like Moonbreon or Gray Felt Hat Pikachu. There's that many of this card in any condition total in existence. And very seldom do we see in TCGs like actual quantifiably trackable releases. So this one's kind of cool. This is from the Dual Art campaign, and it graded a PSA 10, which has a pop just over 200. I sold this card for $4,750 to a collector here within the United States. I talked about this card recently on the channel. I traded for it in the spring of 2025. I traded away like you know, the Mewtwo and Mew tag team alt art in PSA 10 and a couple other cards and then some cash on top. But with all the actual like trade value, obviously those are the slabs that I traded away were cards that I bought raw and graded myself. So the multiplier of value on those was pretty substantial. So all in, I had like maybe $1,000 or $1,400 in this one. And so selling it at $47.50 was a pretty generous come up. Sad to see the card go because it is beautiful. This is one that I have looked at on a at least weekly basis since I've owned it because it's just such a stunning card, and like, you know, it's not every day that you get to handle cards this rare. But for $4,700, I will happily rehome it. So with that said, that is the weekend in a recap. These are the cards and items that I sold this weekend. Being careful to handle these singles under the slabs. But with that said, here's what's moving. Comment down below what sold for you this weekend, if anything. Hopefully sales are going well for you as well. And I will see you on the next one.